Welcome back to the Angels here on MLB The Show 25, and as you can see, the trade deadline is starting to get underway here as the Nationals, who famously or infamously traded away C.J. Abrams in the same season they acquired Ryan Helsley, I believe it was in season 1, are now getting themselves a shortstop of the future here in Carson Williams from the Tampa Bay Rays, an 84 overall B-potential shortstop who has some serious pop. Big time, like 3 true outcomes type shortstop who can play a really, really good defensive shortstop as well. So they've got themselves set there. And then the Rays in return get starting pitching prospect Sean Barnett, who is a C potential, 73 overall. They get Seaver King, who is a B potential, definitely a solid prospect in his own right. And then Yohandy Morales, a first-round pick in 2023 out of Miami. And then the Athletics just traded away somebody who they have extended. The first-place Athletics dropped the first 2 games of a series to the Angels here, and they're selling J.J. Bleday, their starting center fielder, or I guess they only have 1 more year of arbitration, so I guess, I don't know, they're trying to do like a weird sell and buy sort of thing. But the A's, first-place team, trading J.J. Bleday to the New York Mets. He is no longer in division. The A's in return get Ryan Clifford, who has some serious pop. Looks like they've already promoted him to the big leagues here. They already have Nick Kurtz, though, and I think some other like first base types. So not really sure what they're going to do. I guess they're going to play him in a corner? I don't know. And then Nate Dom, a B potential reliever, was also acquired in the deal. Holy smokes, folks. The Rays are selling house. Junior Caminero is now in division. Holy smokes. Holy shnikes. He is now in our division, Junior Caminero, joining Julio Rodriguez, joining Cal Raleigh, joining still Randy Arozarena, joining Mark O'Connor, the first-round pick we should have taken instead of Andres Rivera. All these guys on the Mariners, they are going for it here. This is, people will make all sorts of jokes about LOL Rays. This is not the type of trade the Rays are doing, and if there's any type of player that the Rays would extend, it would be a guy like Caminero, and they don't really get anything at all in return. I guess this guy, this is terrible, dude. Oh my god. The only reason they're able to do this trade is because they get an A potential prospect who's going to be good, I don't know, in 2037, if that. So they get this guy who's like the main piece in the deal. They get a 25-year-old mid-starting pitcher, and then they get a B potential 20-year-old who also is going to be good by 2037. Just the way the trades are set up in this game, man, it's all potential. Nothing else is looked at. And now the Rays just traded Junior Caminero, a 23-year-old superstar, for this guy, essentially. Oh my god, everyone's doing trades here. The Guardians have now acquired Bo Bichette because the Tigers, who in the same season they traded Riley Green, they also acquired Bo Bichette and then they extended him, and now they're selling him in division for Bronson Connor, who, to be fair, does look like he's a really good prospect, and then Jackson Humphreys, who also looks like he's a really good prospect. So at least they got 2 pieces in return, but still doesn't make much sense in my eyes. Unless they're really bad this year, maybe they are. And everyone's just doing trades here. I'm just hitting X, and it's just another one popping up here. Alex Bregman on an expiring contract here, heading into free agency, $45 million. Going in division to the Toronto Blue Jays as the Boston Red Sox get Davis Schneider, who, if I'm not mistaken, that week that he exploded onto the scene in what was the year that he made his debut? 2023. I think that week he exploded onto the scene. It was the first series, the first or second series he was up was against the Red Sox. And now he's on the Red Sox. Jose Barrios, they also get him with 1 more year of his deal, sure, I guess, and Rhys Hoskins. So they just traded an expiring veteran for 3 veterans of their own, and one of which is team controllable, one of them's expiring, and Rhys Hoskins and then Barrios. I don't know. This doesn't really make sense to me from the Blue Jays standpoint. You're just trading 3 guys on your current big league team for a guy on your big league team for the rest of this. I don't know. I have to see where they are in the standings, but it doesn't make much sense to me on why the Red Sox would do that if they were going to trade Bregman. And now we can finally take a look at where we are. It is July 31st right now. It is the trade deadline. Today is the trade deadline. We are going to be buying, folks. The Angels have convinced the top brass, aka me, that we should be trying to go for it. Obviously, we're not taking some giant swing here, but we're not going to be selling off pieces. If we sell off anything, it's going to be Carlson, because I feel like Carlson's just been so bad this season that we might as well just, I don't know, try to get something for him and maybe play a young guy in his place as our 4th outfielder. But you can see here, we've been on a little bit of a run here. That's 5 wins in our last 6 games. Obviously, it's not usually it's last 10 that you usually go for, but last 6, we've got 5 wins. So we're on a bit of a roll here, taking the first 2 of this 4-game set against the A's here. And then there's the 31st game and the first game here to start August. So on the right track, 1 game under. Right now it's 55 and 56. We're 4 games out of the division. And after those 3 straight wins, we are now 2.5 games back, and we have 3 teams in front of us, one of which just traded away one of their best players in Alex Bregman. This makes even less sense why the Red Sox would trade away Alex Bregman, but I mean, they are on an L5. Maybe that has something to do with it, but whatever. All these teams are on an L. It's possible. We could chase down for the wild card, and we could even possibly chase down for the West. So it's possible. We'll have to have a crazy August and September. It's going to be a fun playoff push here the last 2 months of the season, but we're looking forward to it. Now, as far as what we are going to be looking for, I think the most obvious thing to be looking for, I mean, you just go ahead and look at the standings here, team rankings, it's the hitting. The defense is pretty bad too, but it's the hitting. Our pitching is good on paper. I like our pitching. There's not really anything to add to the pitching. I feel like we have dudes in place. We need a bat. We need a bat who could come in and be an actual difference maker for us, a guy who can drive in runs, a guy who can actually do shit for us. Theoretically, in the lineup, Coffey is that guy. He's struggling right now as his rookie season is going on. Obviously, still very, very early in his career. I don't think that Reggie Coffey is going to be a terrible player throughout his career. I just think it's very early, and he hasn't quite turned it on yet. So we can't really rely on him to be the dude right now. Sean Noel obviously is very good. Wade has been very good. Trout is up and down at this point, but he is majorly regressing and is just weirdly never an RBI guy in this because his clutch is like just getting docked every year. And clutch, for those who don't know, is basically the how you hit with runners in scoring position stat. And, having a cleanup hitter with 44 clutch, not exactly the best thing. But, not a lot of guys have clutch. It's 65 for Sean Noel, 61 for Wade, 57 for Coffey. Ohapi has 65. Neto has 63. Perez has 60. Arias has 57. Kim has 55. So it's not like we have anybody who really has big-time clutch in our lineup here. And, a lot of guys are just struggling. So, Ohapi, he hasn't been great this season. Neto's been weirdly, not great. He had a good season last year, I felt like. And now this year, he's just really down in the dumps again, sub 700 OPS. Down with the home run numbers as well. The RBI numbers are not as good as they were either. Wenceel Perez has been up and down. He's been a lot better as of recently. He's got his OPS above 700 now, but he's still not a middle-of-the-order guy. Luis Arias is a second baseman. He's been good, but in very limited sample size. Do we want to keep rolling with him? Maybe. Shortstop has been very, very disappointing. Ha-Seong Kim, back-to-back seasons in Tampa Bay, where he's a 750, 809 OPS guy. I mean, what was his wins? He had a 4.5 or 4.4 wins, and then 3.7 wins the first season. And then he comes here, and he's just actually, I stink. Actually, I'm not very good at all. I put with the bat here, sub 700 OPS. So, not exactly the best thing to happen first year of a 4-year deal, but we need to acquire a bat. Whether that requires pushing somebody to the bench, I don't really care because none of these guys are performing. If we have to move Arias back to being a bench player, that is fine by me. Ideally, like Neto and Ohapi are turning it on. It does seem kind of silly to like move Arias to the bench, considering he has been one of our overall OPS-wise best hitters. So I don't know, but we need to acquire a bat, and I think that really just, I don't know, I don't want to move Ha-Seong Kim to the bench, but maybe we do. Maybe we do move him to the bench for at least the rest of the season. We have Neto play shortstop for us, move him back to short, and move Arias to third, and that opens up either second or third, depending on where we want to move Arias, with a bat to add to the team here. I think that's an option for us, and then also trading Carlson and opening up that fourth outfielder spot for either a young guy we acquire, or somebody like Isaac Collins could come back up. He's kind of struggling in AAA right now. Nelson Rada, unfortunately, is hurt with a fractured leg, and he's been good in AA, but he was really poor in AAA. I think our options are one of these guys, either Robert Hassel, who we have recently called up to AAA, because he was tearing the cover off the ball in AA here, as you can see by all his pluses across the attributes, or we could go with Hunter Bishop, who is continuing to improve as well, and has been very, very good in AAA this season with a 934 OPS. He's already on the 40-man roster as well, so it would be easy to get him on the big league club. I think that's probably what we'll go with as one of these two guys once we trade Carlson. And as far as I've gone around the league and looked at all the teams that are in selling positions, one of them is the New York Mets. I've gone through and looked at all the trade blocks. Not that I usually look at the trade blocks because, teams put dumb players on there and whatnot, and it's not usually that helpful. So I usually just go around and look at the teams individually, but Brett Baty is indeed on the trade block here for the New York Mets. They are a team well below 500. They are well out of it. And if you look at Brett Baty, 27 years old, he still only has just barely over 2 years of Major League service time because they haven't been using him at all the past 2 seasons. He is just now getting time in the big leagues here in 2027 after a 2-year break down in the minor leagues here. And he's been pretty decent, a 7.69 OPS. He's got 12 home runs, 34 ribbies, 14 doubles in only 84 games. He's improving. Now, the thing is, he is a lefty bat that you can't play at all against left-handed pitching because he is just a total platoon guy. But at the same time, we could definitely use another lefty bat in our lineup. So Brett Baty might be a guy that we're looking at to add here to the team. Now, it would probably take a decent amount to get him, considering he has a B potential, 79 overall, he's still below 30, and he's got 4 more seasons of team control here, and one of them even at a league minimum level. So now I'm taking a second look at the Mets here just on the trade page, and they've got Jeff McNeil on an expiring contract too, so my mind's going, I'm like, man, if we could somehow get McNeil and Baty, and we play McNeil the rest of the season at second, we play Baty at third, we have Meade play third against lefties, or Arias against lefties, either one would be great. Incredible possibilities here. But also at the same time, I'm then scrolling through these other positions, and I'm like, that's right, they just traded for Bleday, even though they are well out of it. Look at the standings here. In the National League, in the East, they are 52-58, 9.5 games out of their division. And when it comes to the wild card, they are 4 games out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in front of them, including 2 teams in their own division well in front of them for the wild card. So why are they trading for JJ Bleday? I have no idea. At the same time, though, I am still kind of intrigued by this. We get an expiring Jeff McNeil. We get Brett Baty, who could be our third baseman next season. We would have to figure out what to do with maybe we move Neto to second base next year, and then Kim, we give him another shot at shortstop. Obviously, we're not going to give up on him totally, but for the rest of the season would be like a bench player. So basically, if we did this, it would be like Neto moves to short, Baty plays third, McNeil plays second. That moves Arias to the bench. It moves Moore down to AAA. And then next season, when McNeil leaves in free agency, then it's Baty at third, Neto move to second base, and Kim will play shortstop for us. That's if we can get this deal done. I'm not sure 100% what it's going to take. The other option that's very intriguing to me, I've scrolled through pretty much all these teams at this point. The other option that's very intriguing to me is the Rays here have Brandon Lau, who is not an expiring contract. He does have 2 more years left on his deal here at $12.5 million, which is a respectable amount for age 33 and 34 seasons. He's a guy who is still performing quite well, and he is a lefty who can hit against lefties. And he's got that big pop we're looking for to add to the middle of the order here. He's got that 76 clutch, which is huge. By far would be the best on our team right now. He would be able to play second base for us. Neto could stay at third. So it's basically, do I want multiple years of Beatty and 1 year of McNeil? Or do we want multiple years of Brandon Lau playing second base for us? Because the Rays are totally out of it. They've already sold the Junior Caminero. They don't need Brandon Lau at this point. They've got an expiring Nathaniel Lowe. Their shortstop is this guy. Their third baseman is this guy. Their shortstop's Caballero. Still, they got Seaver King behind him. It's a mess over in Tampa Bay right now. So they don't need a 32-year-old Brandon Lau. That's what I'm thinking. We're either going to pick up Brandon Lau or we're going to do that deal with the Mets. So Brandon Lau has 76 clutch. What is the clutch of the other 2 guys? Because I don't want to bring those guys in and have them theoretically be good clutch hitter. I mean, 83 clutch for Jeff McNeil. That's what you're looking for right there. And then when it comes to Beatty, he's got 62 clutch, so right around where most of our players are. So he wouldn't be the hugest upgrade there, but he is a guy who's hitting well against righties. And should be a guy who just continues to progress as he, levels up some more. Yeah, so this would definitely take some serious getting. Like, if we give them Jeff Mitchell, who is one of the best prospects in Major League Baseball, or in baseball, I should say. He's a potential guy we took in second round in 2025. Giving him just straight up, they still think we should be giving them something else. We could just throw in, obviously, a C guy, or just literally anybody to just make the trade work. We could give them this guy and it would be fine. But I don't think I want to give up Mitchell. If we take a look at the top prospects here, we have Burgess, who's the number 1 guy in all of baseball right now after Coffey and Rivera's promotions, and then we've got Mitchell, who's down here in the top 10 at number 8. I feel like this isn't the craziest thing in the world if we give them Volek, who is that German right-hander that we took in 2025 in the 3rd round. He's a high B potential. He's like an 88 or 89, something like that. Could be a very good starting pitcher down the line. You look at their starting pitcher, they got Crochet locked up long-term, but then they got mid-30s Eflin, Holmes, Senga. They got Brandon Sproat, and then behind him it's Casey Mize, Jose Budo. Then they got 30-year-old, 35-year-old. They need some young starting pitchers coming up this pipeline. I mean, look at the ages of all these guys. So Vola could definitely add some young pitching to their system as a potential serious prospect. And then he's a top 100 guy too. And then Moore would basically be the value of him and I mean they're both really good value, but we would basically be trading, giving up on Moore, because I just don't think he's ever gonna really click and turn it together. But maybe the Mets are willing to do it because he's younger than Beatty, and he is significantly younger than Beatty. So we would be giving up a 24-year-old for a 27-year-old. So that's not nothing. But the thing about it is we don't really have a ton of value in the system aside from these starting pitchers, and I don't want to trade Hassel. So we have these starting pitchers that we can trade, and that's, aside from Moore, that's really all the value we have aside from obviously our rookies that we want to be playing. And then as far as the Rays trade go, if we go and get Brandon Lau, we could just give them Ken Volek straight up, and that is way more than enough value. So we could get something else out of them for Brandon Lau, or for Volek rather. They get Volek, they could use some starting pitching, obviously. The Rays always could use pitching, they just love the pitching. And they're basically gutting their entire roster, so they could use anything. They don't need a guy like this, they don't need Lau, who's I've talked about, is 32. He's not going to be on the next good Rays team. So I'm looking around their roster, I'm what else could we possibly use that we could squeeze out? I'm thinking maybe an outfielder. So I see left field here, Richie Palacios maybe. He's got 2 more years of arbitration here. He is making $4.3 million, which is kind of concerning, but he can play all over the place. He's got decent enough hitting. He's got really good discipline, really good reaction, very good steal. He has very limited sample time and sample size in the big leagues, but all 3 stints that he's had in the big leagues here in this universe have gone well, even though they've all been very short. The first 2 were like decently long though, so he has like a track record of being a decent bat. But then, you know, he's 29. He does still have the 2 more years of team control. Then I go to center field and I go, They have committed long-term to Lane Thomas in center field here. He is their center fielder. He's on a 7-year contract. Harrison Bader's extending, and they have 26-year-old C potential Chandler Simpson. He is 26. They have rarely ever used him in the big leagues. They do not value him for whatever reason. He's down in AAA getting on base, swiping bags. We could use him. Chandler Simpson, we've got Perez in center, but Perez doesn't have a ton of team control, and it's not like Perez is like a guy you're like, you know, wanting to like have in center field forever. Chandler Simpson here, very intriguing. And then maybe when Kellen Lindsay comes up at some point, you've got Kellen Lindsay and Chandler Simpson on the same roster. I think we're leaning this, folks. Chandler Simpson's just going to come right up right now. He'll be our 4th outfielder. Either the 4th outfielder or the starting center fielder, whichever I decide to do. Lau's going to be our second baseman for the next 2 seasons and the rest of this year. And that's what we're going to do. I'm leaning this. We have moved on from that Mets trade. We're going Chandler Simpson and Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays for Ken Volek, the German starting pitcher, top 100 prospect guy. We're doing it. We're locking it in. Oh, before I lock it in, I should also show Brandon Lau. We've talked about how he has the pop we're looking for. He has the clutch we're looking for. He's decent enough in the field. He's still very good. He's performing. You look at his OPS numbers. Or I guess, okay. So his OPS the first 2 seasons were not great, but this season he has been really good. So that is kind of worrying that he might like drop back down to being like a sub 700 OPS guy, but at the same time, I think we're confident that like these ratings are worth going for. So Brandon Lau, we're still going to go for him and Chandler Simpson. And then the other thing I wanted to show is his quirks. He's got a bunch of them. He's got Road Warrior, he's got Day Player, he's got first pitch hitter, he's got Fighter, performs later in the ninth, better in the 9th inning or later. He excels at pinch hitting even, excels at driving in a runner on third with less than 2 outs, which is, we get into those situations all the time here. He's the perfect cleanup hitter for us. All right, folks, so we're taking a look around the league here where we could send Dylan Carlson now that we need to open up that outfield spot for Chandler Simpson. And Dylan Carlson, the expiring contract here, I'm going around looking at all the teams that could use a left fielder. The Dodgers are one. They don't really have anything interesting that I want in their system. The Padres, however, they already have Jared Kelenic, so we could just give them last year's Angels left field platoon in Kelenic and Carlson, as they are looking for that left field. So we're going to give them Dylan Carlson, and in return, we are going to get Logan Allen. Reds franchise legend, left-handed pitcher Logan Allen, lefty, 28 years old. He's going to come in, be a funky lefty, join our team. He will be in the bullpen like Ronel Blanco is, and the thing is, we'd then need to move somebody out of the team that would push Ronel Blanco off the team. So if Ronel Blanco has no options, we're going to be trading Ronel Blanco after this. So Logan Allen gives us the starting pitcher depth we were looking for in Ronel Blanco, who has served us well so far in the season, but this just opens up another possibility where right now the only lefty we have in our bullpen is Yusei Kikuchi, who is obviously very much aging, is an expiring contract, and if he falls off a cliff at some point, we're going to need another lefty in our bullpen, and Logan Allen will give us that because he is another guy who has no options and will need to be just immediately inserted into our bullpen. So Logan Allen going to join our team. We're going to trade Carlson to the Padres for Logan Allen. Boom, that is done. So now we need to turn around and trade Ronel Blanco to a team that could use a starting pitcher who is contending. And that team, my friends, is the New York Yankees. They are sitting atop the American League East with only 4 legitimate starting pitchers. They have Max Fried, Luis Heel, Clark Schmidt, Carlos Rodon, who is aging, and then they're not playing this Hampton guy. They are instead playing Will Warren as their next starter, who obviously they could use an upgrade from. Ronel Blanco has been pitching well this season. He's an upgrade from Will Warren. He's going to go to the Yankees. And in return, we're going to get George Lombard Jr., who is a C potential 21-year-old shortstop. We could probably teach him to play other places. Could be an interesting bat at some point for us. He's a C potential. He is blocked at that position by Anthony Volpe. It's not like they have a need for him at third either, or at second now that they've signed Nico Horner. So George Lombard is going to come to our system. You can see this is not enough to get it done. So instead, we are going to be attaching on Gustavo Campero to give them another catcher, because right now their backup catcher is Alex Jackson, and then a guy they just DFA'd. So we're going to give them Gustavo Campero, who we liked as an idea, but he's not really somebody who's going to be good. His plate skills are just too low for me. So we're going to send him to the Yankees as a way to complete this deal. Blanco and Campero to the Yankees, and that means that we're going to be calling up Cooper Ingle to be our new backup catcher here in the big leagues. So now, we have completed the 3 trades that we are doing here, and our pitching staff, now the rotation is the same, 1 through 5, the bullpen is the same, except for instead of Ronel Blanco, we have Logan Allen joining our staff as a second lefty to be in the bullpen. Once again, as always, ignore the equipment and the numbers. I don't know what numbers and equipment these guys are actually going to be wearing, so I haven't gone through and edited them quite yet, but ignore the numbers on these guys mainly. And then as far as the new lineups go against right-handed pitching, it's going to be Wade still leading off, then Shawnuel, Coffey, Lau hitting 4th, Trout in the 5-hole, then Neto, Ohapi, Perez, and Arias rounding things out. While then against lefties, Shawnuel leads off, Coffey, Mead as the lefty masher, Neto is clean up against lefties because he destroys lefties, then Lau is in the 5th spot, Arias in the 6th spot, Trout, Perez, and Ohapi rounding things out in the 9-hole. For now, Hassan Kim is on the bench. Next year, we will give him another full season to figure things out at shortstop, but for now, he is a very versatile bench infielder for us. He'll be playing all over the infield whenever we need him to. Chandler Simpson is now our 4th outfielder, as we know, and Cooper Ingle is now our backup catcher. And then just so we don't get docked on their defensive ratings, I have moved Arias from 2nd to 3rd as his primary position, as we do whenever we move guys around like this to play there a significant amount of time and not just spot starts here and there. So Arias is listed as 3rd base now. Neto is back to being listed at shortstop. Well, folks, the draft class has been signed, and this is by far my worst showing in a draft class in really any game, I'd have to imagine. Luis Vargas is a D potential. I don't understand. Everything that I was looking at on his card when I took him just screamed to me that he was going to be a really good player, and he's just not, apparently. So Luis Vargas, that's a big miss. That's a big miss right there. Daryl Road is a high potential pitcher, lefty from Canada with some big stamina, but definitely a bit of a project, going to take quite a while to develop. But he is only 18, so he has multiple years to develop. Brian Hong, who I thought was maybe going to be a center fielder for us at some point. Not looking as good as I thought he was. Similar thing with him, where I was looking at Vargas and I was like, man, this guy just looks like he's going to be good. Turns out he is not good. D potential. Then Eric Brown, same sort of thing with him. I was looking at him as like a guy who could be like a C potential, really good shortstop for us. And sure, good defensive shortstop, but horrible durability, horrible bat, D potential. Not looking great. That's 3 D potential players taken in this year's draft. And then Vincent Gall is a project, and he's a 57 overall, so I doubt he sticks around on the team if I'm going to be completely honest. Probably just gets cut in the offseason. And then Kyle St. John, the swing we took at the catcher in the 6th round, B potential, but definitely a project. So, maybe he's something in like 4 or 5 seasons. But for now, he is just a minor league catcher with a B potential. So honestly, him and Rode are the only good picks of this draft. You know, Vargas, maybe he's useful as like a fourth outfielder with some serious pop at some point, but like he's got the same issue that Christian Moore does, where it's all pop, no contact, no plate skills. I mean, this is a very, very, very similar attribute page to Christian Moore. Really, the only thing that's different is that he's an outfielder and he has a bunch of speed, whereas Christian Moore is not the fastest guy of all time. So, I mean, big time whiff on the draft class this year. I don't even have words for it. Alrighty, folks, so we are here post-trade deadline. It is August 7th. We are heading into a series against the Boston Red Sox, who are in front of us, just barely, in the wild card. We just took out 2 out of 3 from the Royals. Would have been nice to sweep them, but we'll take 2 out of 3. We also had that series, that 4-game set against the Athletics, where we took 3 out of 4 from them. So if you take a look at the division right now, the Mariners have been helped out by us. We're 6-4 in our last 10, so are the Mariners. The A's are 4-6. We're 5 games out of the division. And then if we take a look at the wild card, you can see we just beat the Royals in that series. We're now a half game behind them. The Red Sox are on a W3, and we are a couple games behind them. You know, there's only 2 teams in front of us here, and we're 3.5 games out. We are still very much in the thick of things here. We need to keep winning series, especially against these teams that are in front of us. The Royals, the Red Sox, the Mariners, the Orioles, and the Twins. And lucky enough for us, we play a bunch of those teams. We play Boston here. We just played Kansas City. We play Minnesota here. Then we play at Boston again. And then heading into September, we play not Texas, but at Cleveland, who is the division leader in the Central. We play at Seattle. So we've got some chances to chase down these teams playing some direct matchups. We also need to make sure that we beat up on these bad teams. We need to, like, beat a bad Rays team who just sold everyone. We need to hang with this Atlanta team. We need to beat the Marlins. We need to beat a bad Astros team. We need to beat this Rockies team. We need to just keep winning series as much as possible, and that is the goal here down the stretch for August and September. I have decided what numbers the players we have acquired are going to be wearing with us. Brandon Lau is wearing number 5 with us because that's what he wore with Maryland, just like his... I don't know if they were ever teammates, but I know they both played at Maryland. I have Lamont Wade wearing number 6 because that's what he wore at Maryland. Cooper Ingle is indeed wearing number 12 for us as our new backup catcher. Chandler Simpson is wearing number 10 for us because he wears 14 in real life, which is taken by Logan O'Hoppe on our team. He wore 1 at Georgia Tech, which I would like to give him 1, but the thing about number 1 is that it's one of those numbers that the Angels had that's not officially retired, but it's been out of circulation ever since Benji Molina left the team, which was in like 2006 or something like that, which is a long time ago to not be assigning a number. So rather than just assign somebody number 1, we're going to give him number 10 because I feel like that's the next best thing. And then Logan Allen in real life wears 26. He wore 41 previously. 26 and 41 are both taken on our team, so I just dropped them down 1. He's wearing 28 or 25 rather here on the team. The red-hot Nolan Schanuel and the Angels playing host to the Boston Red Sox here in Anaheim as the Minnesota Golden Gopher George Klassen is making the start here for the Halos, his 24th of the campaign. We'll start things off top half of the first inning as Jarren Duran spits on ball 4. That's going to be a leadoff walk, not what you want if you're the Angels, but then Mason Wynn lines one over to Lamont Wade. He makes the snag, slaps the tag on Duran, diving back into first base. That's a double play. Cutter Crawford was the one pitching for the Red Sox on the day, making his 24th start of the season. And Lamont Wade would chop one up the middle, knocked down on a dive by Mason Wynn, but it's going to be an infield single. Then it brings up Nolan Schanuel, the hit machine, who proceeds to get another hit here, as the diving Willie Abreu cannot make the play. So back-to-back base knocks here for the Angels as Reggie Coffey comes up and rips one into right center field, but it is tracked down by Luis Roberts. Does allow the runner move up to third base, though, so it's runners on the corners here, as then the new cleanup man Brandon Lau comes up and rips one into right field. That's going to score a run. And that's going to move the runner up to third base as well. So on the corners here brings up Mike Trout, who's going to hit one into center field, find some outfield grass. That's going to score a run and also set up runners on the corners here for the Angels. So a 2-0 game here for Zach Neto, who pops one up into right field. That's going to be a sac fly, scores a run as the Angels put on a 3-piece here in the first inning. Move things on top 2. Christian Campbell up with 2 outs, grounds one up the middle for a base knock. Then it brings up Roman Anthony, 3-1 count. Of course, he's spitting on that. Ball 4, the OBP machine gets on first base, brings up first and second here with 2 outs, as Wilyer Abreu takes a 2-0 pitch up the middle. That scores Campbell, and the Red Sox get on the board here. It's now a 3-1 ball game. Bottom of the second, though, Ha-Seong Kim, ground ball out to Rafi Devers playing third base. Throw drags Costas off the bag, and that's going to be an E5 on Rafi Devers, and then Kim would swipe second base, and Wade would be able to drive him in with a base knock, make it a 4-1 lead here for the Halos. Then Nolan Shawnwell would spit on ball 4, first and second here for the Angels. Brings up Reggie Coffey, who delivers, goes at the right center field. This one's going to roll up against the wall. That's going to score both runners as Reggie Coffey makes it a 6-1 lead here for the Angels. We will now move things on to the 4th inning, where Lamont Wade comes up and rips one into right field, his 3rd hit of the day already. Base knock there with 1 out. Mike Soroka would then come on and out of the bullpen here for the Red Sox in a 6-1 ball game, as then Nolan Shawnwell greets him into the game by ripping one into left field. Back-to-back singles here for the Angels. Then brings up Reggie Coffey, who puts a charge into one to deep center field, but it would be tracked down by Robert. Runner tags at the third base, so now with 2 outs, it's runners on the corners here for the Angels, and Brandon Lau delivers. Welcome to the Angels. Brandon Lau, a 3-run blast down the tunnel in right field, as that puts the Angels up 9-1 in this ball game. An offensive explosion here, as then Ha-Seong Kim ground ball to third base again. Rafael Devers, third baseman, E5 once again. Nothing else happened in the inning, though. Move things on top 7. Jarren Duran, base knock off Logan Allen here, who entered the game. And then Reggie Coffey with an outfield assist as the runner tried to move up. Brings up Mason Wynn, who then bloops one over the outreach glove of Lau at second base. So first and second here is then Rafi Devers does come up and hit one into left center field. That's going to score 2 runs, and then suddenly it's a 9-5 game as the Red Sox try chipping away here. But then Brandon Lau in the bottom of the 7th. How about a second one? 2 home run day for Brandon Lau. Both of them no doubters. Both of them in that tunnel in right field. That's now a 10-5 game here. And then Ha-Seong Kim in the bottom of the 8th, having a horrible season, but in this one reaches twice on throwing errors from Rafael Devers and then hits an absolute missile into left field. Jose Soriano, top 9 here in an 11-5 game, enters facing the Red Sox, and Wilyer Abreu, no doubt opposite field home run into the left field seats here, or into the bullpens rather. That's going to be an 11-6 game here, as the Red Sox will not stop hitting. The ball is flying here tonight, as then Jarren Duran hits one over the head of Perez. That's going to be a double. Don't know how he didn't end up on third with his speed, especially with this throw going over the cutoff man. As then it would then bring up Mason Wynn, and he goes at the right center field. That's going to score Duran easily. It's now an 11-7 game, and Jose Soriano cannot close it out. So the Angels turn to Sam Bachman out of the bullpen here to get the, not the save, but close things out, as he would proceed to strike out Rafi Devers for out number 2, and then he would proceed to get Luis Robert Jr. to pop up to deep right field. More of a put a charge into that one than a pop-up, as Mike Trout has to run a long way, makes the play, as that is your ball game. An offensive explosion here in Anaheim as the Angels win this one 11-7. The ball was flying on this hot summer night. Brandon Lau, of course, gets player of the game honors. He was 3 for 4 on the day with 2 home runs and 5 ribbies. The new cleanup man here for the Angels. Ha-Seong Kim hit a home run as well. Lamont Wade had 3 hits and 3 runs. Shawnwell had 2 hits and 3 runs. All around solid day for the offense. All right, folks, some very unfortunate news here as Andres Rivera, I believe, has torn his shoulder for the 2nd time this season. Not really sure. I'd imagine is torn labrum even in this game? So I guess, I don't know. I don't know what a shoulder tear would be other than that. But shoulder tear, I believe that's the 2nd time he's had that this season. No idea how the first one doesn't knock you out for the whole season. But as we talked about with his durability, it is getting better. It's gone up 3 this season, but still a problem. as, he hasn't been the greatest so far in his major league career. He's been serviceable, I would say, like a lowish 4 FIP and like a 4.4 ERA. They're about the same through 13 starts. I would expect him to keep getting better. We would like him to stay healthy, obviously, but he is now hurt for the rest of the season, unfortunately. And to replace him on the roster, we are not going to be calling up a starter. We're just going to be moving Logan Allen into that 5th starter role. Now we have 3 lefties in our rotation. And to add another lefty to our bullpen, we're going to dip down into AAA here. Mr. Victor Gonzalez here, who has been our main lefty in AAA this season. There's also Garrett McDaniels, who could be an option. I'm not sure if he's even on the 40-man still. He is not. He's no longer on the 40-man, but he's an option to call up at some point. But we also have Victor Gonzalez, who for the past couple seasons has been in the minor leagues for us, and he has just been really, really good, like consistently in AAA. So sub-1 ERA, he's getting the call up here. We're going Victor Gonzalez as the other lefty in our bullpen. And just as a quick update here, we haven't quite gotten up to the next game that we are going to be showing, but you can see we're still under 500, still like within shooting distance of that division at 4.5 games, but we are 3-7 in our last 10 as we have had some really, really rough series. We ended up dropping that 3rd game, that rubber match against Boston, and then we beat Tampa Bay on the road, which is good because they suck. We didn't sweep them, so that would have been fantastic, but we only beat them 2 out of 3. And then we take on Atlanta, who's like a wild card team pushing in their own right in the National League. They beat us 2 out of 3. Then we get swept by the Marlins, which was just disgusting. A bunch of really close games here. The offense doesn't really show for 2 of them. And then we have this Houston series that we're in the middle of right now, forcing a rubber match here in the 3rd game with Shane McClanahan on the bump. But then we got Colorado, and then we're going to be showing a series or a game from this series against Minnesota. I haven't decided which one. Maybe it'll be Logan Allen's first start. Who knows? But we're still just not really making any progress towards our goal of trying to make the postseason here. 4.5 games out in the division. Like I said, 3-7 in our last 10. And then in the wild card, there are now 3 teams in front of us. We are 5.5 out of the wild card, so we're actually closer to the division than we are the wild card. The Red Sox, Mariners, and Blue Jays all in front of us now because they're all actually playing decent ball. The Royals are they're 9-1 in their last 10. It's not going well here. We need to figure the fuck out what the hell we're doing. I don't know why our team just sims so poorly. It makes no sense to me. I feel like we have good players, but it just doesn't translate to results. Reggie Coffey rocking a 16-game hit streak here as the Angels travel out to Minnesota to take on the Twins here. Bailey Ober, the super tall right-hander, making his 25th start of the season for Minnesota. We'll start things off top half of the first inning here. Lamont Wade Jr. going up the middle here. That's actually going to get down into the gap somehow. And Lamont Wade with a hustle double here to lead off the game for the Halos. Then brings up Reggie Coffey with 1 out. He would spit on ball 4. Makes it 1st and 2nd here for the Angels. Brings up Brandon Lau, who proceeds to hit one over to right field, but not deep enough as this one's going to just tag up the runner from 3rd base as Wade gets over onto 3rd. Runners on the corners here for Mike Trout, and he delivers. The Millville Meteor with a big fly here. 3-0. That is a long way out of here. 451 in the upper deck here at Target Field. As Mike Trout still showing some juice in that bat here, puts the Angels up 3-0. Logan Allen was the one toeing the slab here for the Angels. And in the bottom half of the 2nd, Jose Miranda comes up and he proceeds to rip one off that right field wall. That's going to be a base knock as they get to it quickly, though, as then Tyler Stevenson came up with 2 outs and proceeds to hit one into no man's land. Chandler Simpson gives it a dive but cannot make the play, so it's 2nd and 3rd here with 2 outs for Emmanuel Rodriguez, who rips one into right field. That's going to score 2 runs, as it's now a 3-2 ball game. Angels still in the lead, though, but then Tommy Edman chops one up the middle. That's going to find its way into the outfield grass. 1st and 2nd here for Walker Jenkins, who hits one down the left field line opposite way. That's going to score 2 runs, and the Twins now take a 4-3 lead here in this ball game as we move things on. Royce Lewis would then hit one into right field as Mike Trout feels this one. They try to test his arm, and you should not do that, sir. The beautiful throw, perfectly placed, and then the tag from Ohapi gets the runner at the plate to end the inning. And then at the top of the third, the Angels trying to get back in this game here, or they're still in the game, but trying to reclaim their lead as we end up with first and second here. One out, Mike Trout hits a ball to deep center field, but that's going to be caught by Rodriguez playing center field on the day, as it's now runners on the corners here as the runner tags up in Shonwell. So now it's corners here with 2 out, and Logan O'Hoppe delivers with a 3-run blast. The second 3-run home run of the day here for the Angels. Another absolute bomb. This one dead center field from O'Hoppe. It's a 6-4 ball game, and they weren't done there. Chandler Simpson, look at this man run off the pitcher. No chance at first base. And then wastes no time. Goes and swipes second base. He's in scoring position. Why not stop there? He goes and swipes third base as well. Chandler Simpson, 90 feet away from scoring, as then Zach Neto ropes one into center field. That's going to be a base knock to make it a 7-4 lead here. Move things on bottom 6 as the Twins will just not go away here. Ryan Johnson on the bump for us as he walks the first batter and Tyler O'Neill. He would then go and swipe second base, as then Lin-Manuel Miranda's relative would proceed to hit one into right center field. That's going to hit up off the wall and make it a 7-5 game. So the Twins, like I said, not going away here, but then on the top of the 8th, Brock Stewart comes on here for the Twins with a 3-run lead here for, or a 2-run lead rather here for the Angels, as Zach Neto bloops one into right field. As then Luis Arias comes up, Neto goes and swipes second base. Throw goes into the outfield, but Neto still hangs up at second, so he's in scoring position here. Unfortunately, Arias would not be able to drive him in as he goes down on the sweeper. So one down, runner on second base, brings up Lamont Wade. He would watch a pitch go to the backstop as Neto is able to move up to third base, slides in safely. Runner 90 feet away from scoring, and Lamont Wade would do his job. Rips one out to left center field. This is going to be a ground rule double to score the runner, make it an 8-5 game. We will then take that into the top of the 9th inning, or the bottom of the 9th inning rather, where Ben Joyce comes on looking for his 36th save of the season, and he would proceed to get Emmanuel Rodriguez to pop one up on the jammed on his hands cutter for out number 1, then blow a 101-mile-an-hour fastball by Tommy Edman for out number 2, and then Walker Jenkins came up, and he would get jammed with a cutter as well, pops it up into shallow center. Easy play for Chandler Simpson, as the Angels win this one 8-5 over the Twins on the road. Get another W here as Ben Joyce gets his 36th save and his 100th of his career. They take the first game of this 3-game set in Minnesota. Lamont Wade was your player of the game. He was 2 for 5 with 2 doubles on the day. Zach Neto was 4 for 4 with 4 singles. Mike Trout and Logan O'Hoppe both had 3-run home runs. Pitching wasn't great, but the offense got the job done. Well, folks, we are now into later in September here. Somehow, still not out of it, but not looking good at 74 and 79, still below 500. If you look at where we are in this division, we are 4 games out, 2 games behind the A's. The Mariners have overtaken the A's now for that top spot. You can see we've been playing such shit ball that even the Astros are starting to catch up to us. They're 9-1 in their last 10. We're 3-7. Once again, man, I don't understand how this team is not good. You look at the team on paper and you're like, this lineup should be good. It should be good, but it just doesn't. It doesn't hit for whatever fucking reason. The pitching should be good. It's even kind of underwhelming. I don't know. But all I know right now is that we are 4 games out of the division, and that's really what we can shoot for here, is that we have to chase down the Mariners somehow and basically just win out the rest of the season, or at least win the rest of the season series. We have 3 of them left at Seattle versus the Giants at home, and then we also take on the D-backs at home to end the season. Because if we look at the wild card, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Yankees have already clinched a spot. I believe that's just the top. Yeah. The Yankees have clinched the spot. Then you have the Red Sox, the Twins, and then it's 4 games out is the Royals, 5 games out to the A's, and then 7 games out is us. So it's, if we don't get the division, we're not making the playoffs. So we need to go on a run here the rest of the season. You can see here it's not been good as of late. We had that series against Minnesota that we won the first game, and then we lost the next 2. Very unfortunate. Luckily, we did rebound with a series win at Boston. And then we beat at Philly But then we lost 2-3 to the Milwaukee Brewers, who are a bad team. Only split 2 out of 4 with the Texas Rangers, who are a bad team. They're last place in the division. And then we got swept by the Guardians, who are an absolute wagon in this universe, apparently. As now we head to Seattle to finish out those last 3 series I talked about. And we really need at least 2-3 in all of these. Ideally, we just win out. You know, that's obviously a bit unrealistic to expect, but that's basically what we need at this point because things are not looking great. I should also mention that it is September now, so we do have the September call-ups up. I wanted to get a lefty bat coming off our bench here, and Nick Prado is that guy to come off the bench. He was really good in AAA. Obviously, I can't look at his AAA numbers from here because why would you be able to do that? But he was having like a high 800s OPS in AAA. He had like 20 home runs down there. Really just tearing the cover off the ball in AAA. And then we have Hans Kraus back up from AAA in our bullpen here. Him and Soriano, the long men, because Soriano's kind of been struggling as of recently, so we don't want him in getting like middle relief, higher leverage roles. And Bachman is now down in that middle relief role along with Victor Gonzalez is a lefty who got left out there in a game against, what was it exactly? It was this one. It was the 17-2 loss. He just was left out there to just like eat it, essentially. At the end of the game, he gave up 7 runs in 2 innings. We've got ourselves a pitching duel as Cal Poly's Brian Wu on the bump for the Mariners and Louisville's Reed Detmers on the bump for the Angels. We'll start things off with Wu chucking the pill here for the M's as Lamont Wade's going to lead things off with a good timing middle fastball pop up to the infield. And then how does the first AB go for the Mariners, you ask? Well, Victor Robles is going to take a pitch into the left field seats as the M's strike first. In this one, it's 1-0 Seattle. Move things on to the top of the second where Brandon Lau, hard hit ball to right field. Robles makes the play in right, out number 1. Then Mike Trout would come up somehow. Middle fastball is popped up behind him. Raleigh moves over to the dugout and Big Dumper reaches into the Angels dugout, makes the play. Nothing going for the Angels. Move things on bottom 2 as Reed Detmer strands 2 runners by striking out Josh Naylor. And then in the top of the third, check things back in with the bats here. A hanging slider that Ohapi somehow just singles up the middle. So he's on first base, then nothing else would happen in the inning until the second, where Nolan Shawnwell rips one hard hit into right field, but once again, caught by Robles. Bottom 3 here, Julio is going to hit a ball off the foot of Reed Detmers. That's an infield single for the fleet-footed Julio. As then Cal Raleigh comes up and he proceeds to hit one into left center field. Only going to be a single as Simpson gets to it quickly, but Julio scores all the way from first base. So it's now a 2-0 lead for the Mariners. As then Reggie Coffey puts a charge into this one. Somehow, hanging slider middle dies out at the track. And you know it wasn't dying out at the track for the Mariners? This ball. Mark O'Connor, the dreaded Mark O'Connor, comes up, deposits one into the Angels bullpen. A solo shot makes it a 3-0 Seattle lead, 19th on the season for Mark O'Connor. And then finally, the Angels would get on the board with a Mike Trout screamer into left field towards the bullpens. So it's a 3-1 game on the solo shot from Trout. But then they move things on to the bottom of the 8th where Camilo Doval enters here for the Angels, looking to keep the score where it is, and he would proceed to give up a chopper down the line from Cal Raleigh into the corner. That's going to be a 2-bagger for Big Dumper. He's in scoring position, then brings up Junior Caminero, who grounds over to second base, moves the runner over to third, 1 out, runner on third base, brings up Mark O'Connor once again, who delivers. Base knocked through the infield, makes it a 4-1 game. So Matt Brash would come in with a 3-run lead in the 9th inning looking for a save. Nick Prado, who came on earlier in the game, proceeds to get a hanging middle changeup. Good timing, pop it up into center field. Nothing going there. Brings up Nolan Shawnwell, who grounds out to shortstop. Easy play for Emerson. 2 down, brings up Reggie Coffey. Up and away fastball, good timing. Well hit, but caught by Robles as the Angels could not get anything going on offense on this day as the Mariners win this one 4-1 here, rocking their worst uniforms. But it does not matter as they hit and the Angels do not. Brian Wu shuts down The Angels, Mark O'Connor gets your player of the game honors as he continues to haunt us, 2 for 4 on the day with a home run and an RBI single. Brian Wu goes 7 innings, only 3 hits, 1 K, 1 walk, 1 earned run for the Cal Poly Mustang. And Mike Trout proceeded to hit a solo home run, which was the only run of the day here for the Angels on 3 total hits. Well, folks, I don't understand. I don't understand this team at all. 78 wins. I figured after last season, I was like, man, it took an all-time collapse in the month of September to not make the playoffs. Clearly, we can't be that bad again, and we should be pretty solidly able to make a wild card at least. And then this year, I think we finished even worse. Didn't we have at least 80 wins last year? We're at 78 wins this year. It's just terrible. It's terrible. And obviously we're not going to get too in the weeds with this stuff right now because we still have an off-season episode to do where we go over everything. But, I mean, we're not exactly having a ton of spots open up for improvement here. I mean, we've got our rotation pretty much set. It's McClanahan, Dana, Detmers, Klassen, and Rivera is our 1 through 5. That's not going to change. Our bullpen, we're going to lose Ginkel, but, like, we have Hans Kraus, who I feel like could just, enter in the bullpen. We're going to lose Kikuchi, but, like, Gonzalez could be full-time in the bullpen. McDaniel could be. We have a bunch of options that will like give us a similar amount of bullpen, or we could sign a one-year guy again. We're also going to be losing Doval, so we're going to have to figure out a thing with him if we want to bring him back for a year or two or something like that. Our catcher is locked in place for through 2031. Our first baseman / DH, or our DH is locked in place through 2032. We're losing Wade this offseason, but then Angelo Manuel is going to be our first baseman heading into next season. That's the plan, at least. Second base is now locked up for the next 2 seasons with Brandon Lau at second base. Third base is going to be Neto moving back to shortstop. He is locked up long-term through 2031. And then Hassan Kim, we just gave him a multi-year deal. We're obviously not going to give up on a guy making $23.4 million, so he's going to be the shortstop again next year. Hope he can have a return to form offensively. Neto is going to move back to third base. That's the entire infield solidified. Left field is obviously going to be Coffey. Center field is going to be some combination of Chandler Simpson and Winfield Perez. That's locked in place. And then obviously right field's going to be Mike Trout. That's locked in place. So it's not like we have any room for like bringing in different guys. It would require like trading away one of these long-term contracts if we want to change up the vibes, because I don't know how this team is bad in the first place, and I don't know how we change up the vibes enough to be good at this point, especially since Trout has just had this season where he had all of these minuses. I mean, a minus 17 to his power versus lefties, 7 versus power versus righties. He has a 44 clutch, which I have to assume is why he played an entire season and had 55 ribbies while basically hitting either second, fourth, or like 5th or 6th the whole season. And he finishes with 55 runs driven in a year where he was not on the IL ever, at least I don't remember him being. And he has as his worst OPS in his entire career. His first time having a sub 800 OPS. It's tough, folks.